Hi, BookTube. It's Gina. Happy Friday. How are you? I'm doing well. I'm glad it's Friday. I'm ready for the weekend. I had a really fun weekend last weekend. Actually, I want to tell you about that. But I'm going to do it in the context of a Friday Reads because it's been a while since I have caught you up on what I have finished. So I've got a few things that I finished, but actually, the fun thing that I wanted to share with you is I got a new book. Look at this. It's so huge. I can barely even fit it into the frame. This is Walt Disney World, a portrait of Walt Disney World, 50 years of the most magical place on earth, by Kevin M. Kern, Tim O'Day, and Stephen Vagnini. And the story behind this beautiful big coffee table book is I went to Disney World last weekend. I went on Wednesday and I went with my sister and her spouse, and they were going, they already had a trip planned, and so I kind of tagged along with them. And they had a beautiful room, a 2-bedroom suite at Saratoga Springs. I had my own room. They're Disney Vacation Club members, so I was able to kind of tag along with them and stay in their room. And they planned this. There was a presentation by the authors of this book, and 3 original Disney World, I don't know if they called them cast members back then, but 3 people who helped build the park. A woman who was the first Disney World ambassador to Disneyland. She was just cute as can be. They all signed it, so it's just beautiful. Everybody that was there signed it, and it's just a gorgeous pictorial of the beginnings of Disney World, and I'm super excited to dig into this as I have time. I don't think I'll sit and just read it back to front, but it was a wonderful weekend. I was a big surprise to actually have a book to bring home with me as a souvenir. It was hot. It was hot. It was humid. I was not prepared for how hot it was. And so we didn't actually spend a ton of time at the parks just because it was very hot. So we had a kind of a few hours each day. But we went to Epcot, my favorite ride, Cosmic Rewind. Have you been on that ride? Oh my God, it's so much fun. So it was just a fun, low-key weekend. We came back Saturday night. Yeah, so it was very short, but really, really fun, and fun to get a big, beautiful coffee table book. So that was very exciting. Next, I wanted to tell you what I have finished since I talked to you last. So the first thing I finished is called The Semi-Detached House by Emily Eden. And I've heard a few people talking about this recently. I had not ever heard of it before. It is a Victorian book. I maybe should have kept it and read it for Victober, but it was short. It was a very sweet story, very light, very happy ending about a young woman, a newly married young woman whose husband is going away on a business trip. She can't go with him because she is with child. And so they move her into a semi-detached house, which she's not very excited about in the beginning because she thinks she's going to be living with or attached to undesirable people. I think she's a bit of a spoiled brat, but of course they become fast friends, and it's a very, very sweet story. I really enjoyed it. Some things about it that I didn't love, but overall it was a very nice, light, enjoyable Victorian easy read. Next, I've read this one on my on a library book. So this is The Moonspinners by Mary Stewart, and I did a buddy read of this with my friend who was visiting me a few weeks ago, and I'm late reading it because I left my copy at the hotel. We stayed downtown Seattle one night to go to the silent reading party, and I left my copy of this book in the hotel somewhere. I don't know, I lost it. So I didn't want to buy it, and I didn't want to pay for a Kindle. They didn't have it as a Kindle at my library, so I got the paper edition. Love this story. I love Mary Stewart. She's becoming one of my new favorites. This is a romantic suspense, and one of the things I like so much about her is that her suspense is pretty low key. Like just about the time I start to feel a little anxious about it, she flips a corner and the suspense kind of calms down a little bit. So I really enjoyed that. I also read Sipsworth by Simon Van Buie. And I had a few people recommend this book to me, a very short book. I think this would count for Shorty September, about an older woman, and you know how I love my older women protagonists, who has sort of given up on life. She's not a spinster because she was married at one point and had a son. And I don't want to tell you any more about it than that because the unfolding, I think, of the story is quite wonderful. It's almost a little bit too short. I would have liked a little bit more detail about her past. But Sipsworth is not the main character, but Sipsworth is a very, very wonderful character who I loved. And it was definitely a very, very sweet and short story, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's under a couple hundred pages. I got this from my library on my Kindle, so I'm not exactly sure how long it was. And then lastly, I finished Manna from Hades. I think I called it Manna from Heaven in my last video. Manna from Hades by Carola Dunn. And this should have been right up my alley, but it was a little on the fence for me. Older woman protagonist who helps the police and her niece, who is a police officer, solve a crime, a murder. But something about it fell a little bit flat. The mystery wasn't great. The solution was not that interesting. The writing was a little meh. I mean, a lot of things I did like about it. I read it fairly quickly, and I did like the characters. I might read the second one. I think it's the beginning of a series, because I've liked her other series that I read. I don't remember now what it was called. So I may give this one another try. Because I did really like the characters, but overall was kind of a meh for me. So that's what I finished. I finished 4 books this month so far. I'm hoping this weekend to finish a couple more because I am reading. I'm working on The Trouble with Mrs. Montgomery Hearst by Katie Lumsden. Really enjoying that. Am I about halfway through that one? It's fairly chunky, but a real easygoing, nice read. It's got a little bit of a zingy depth to it that I wasn't expecting, but I'm really enjoying how she's pulling everything together. So I'll talk more about that when I finish it. And then I'm hoping to read Twelfth Night. I started it. Haven't finished it. I would like to finish at least one play for Shakestember. And that's the play that I saw performed at Shakespeare in the Park last month and in August. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So I'm hoping I will finish that. I should have some time to read this weekend. So that's my plan for the weekend. What else? I still have a pile of books down here that I've not put away. My gosh, this is the pile from my book haul that I did on my last video that now I've got to find spots for. Just in case you're not up to date, I'm not keeping any books on these shelves. I've got some, I don't know if you can see them, some of these little plastic they're little spiky plastic things. My cat had some urinary issues and had peed on my bookshelves. So I'm trying to keep her away from them by putting these little spikies down. She's better, she's doing fine, but I'm hesitant to keep any books on this shelf now, just in case. So we'll see. But I gotta find some space now for all my new books, including this beauty. All right, so I'd love to hear what you are reading this weekend, how you are doing, and I will talk to you later.